Order of the Bristol Budget Committee on Tuesday, December 17th at 6 p.m. Our first order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. Emily, would you please lead us?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, we need to practice. All right, I need to practice.
Yeah, you remember those words?
I do know those words, but we didn't
We were a little
get
off.
synced. We didn't get all together.
It was like the row your boat song.
Yeah.
It works.
It works.
We got
Somebody threw me off and I never caught up.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna do a bunch of departments. I put them in the order I was intending to handle them, but I have a request from Ingrid to move her to the top of the queue because she has other things to do at 6:30. So we're gonna do welfare admin and welfare first, and then we'll go to the library. I thought there were gonna be a bunch of trustees here, and then we'll get our town clerk out, and then the rest of us will stay for the balance. So if you would move to the seats so that our anyone who's Zooming us or Facebooking
It's,
us is,
Sorry, 4441
one.
is the first one.
yes,
Incoming.
come on in.
Which side?
So,
Turn the camera on.
Do you want me to, you want my phone?
I will make a motion to move the Welfare Administration Department Budget, Section 4441, in the Select Board recommended amount of $203. Seconded by Joe. So a motion from Paul, seconded by Joe to move 4441 Welfare Administration. You,
Have a copy.
okay. Is there anything that has changed or anything that you feel needs to be brought to our attention?
Well, you'll see a significant change in line 1.
Yes,
They've seen those.
we
Okay.
have seen that. We know
Good,
that,
okay.
the responsibility will change. At the end of the year, you're moving on to full-time fire,
Yeah.
and the new
HR person will have
will
that,
be
yeah.
handling this.
We're gonna have a transition period for a couple of months, but we figured that out already. So yeah, that's down to $1. So yeah, this is the last time you will get to see me. I'm so sorry.
Well, we'll swing through the public safety building and see, we'll see you at the concerts in the summer.
There you go. Yep. So yeah, that basically just drops those first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines down. Then meetings and trainings, obviously, put in for maintaining that 100. Nope.
You
That was
took it
supposed to
down- You took it down from 145
No,
this year to 100.
we had it up, but we combined it with another line, and I think Christina put the wrong number in, but that should still be fine for the meetings and memberships, because we combined it with executive and then pulled it back out again.
Yeah,
But that's fine. That should still cover her for some meetings, so that's good. That'll get her trained up. And then obviously, and the supplies should have been 150, but she can figure that out too. So you may expect to see a little increase in those the following year. But I've got some money earmarked this year to make sure that she's got enough for next year to get through and get squared away with that. So we should be good there.
Okay.
So
I don't have.
this has all changed like 3 times since I put the budget together, so forgive me.
Okay.
sorry.
So I don't really have any questions, and $203 is not worth a whole lot of time, but I do need to ask other members of the committee, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns? Not hearing any, we will close debate and move. So we're going to vote on the bottom line budget for section 4441 Welfare Administration in the unchanged amount of $203. So if you're voting yes, you're voting to approve the budget, this section of the budget. If you're voting no, you're voting not to. We don't have anyone, so we don't need to do a roll call. We'll just raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
We have 6 people in the room and 6 ayes, so I won't call the nays and the abstentions. So now we will move on to welfare vendor payments. So I'll make a motion to move the budget section for welfare vendor payments, which is section 4445, in the select board recommended amount of $28,900.
So moved.
Seconded by Joe. So motion from Paul, seconded by Joe to move 4445 welfare vendor payments. So let's do this again. Anything you want to bring to our attention or explain?
Just that the rent line, I requested for that to go back up to the 20,000. This has been my busiest year of yet with having to use out of that line. More will be coming out of that before the end of the year. I think to leave it at 10 is very, very risky.
Okay.
So hence the reason for asking for it to go back up to the 20.
I think for the rest of the committee, the last 2 or 3 times I've run into Ingrid in other places, she has shared that thought with me, so that's not news to me. I think we made a decision to reduce that last year, and I was comfortable with that. I think the economy is a little shakier, and I'm not as comfortable reducing that this year, so I'm not going to make any motions to reduce that. Of course, you guys all still have that option. I'm just explaining my personal point at this. Does anyone else have any comments, questions, motions?
I just want to say thank you. I did personally, but officially, I appreciate what you did.
Thank you.
So not hearing any other member comments, we'll close debate and we will vote on approving this section of the budget. So we're voting on approving section 4445 welfare vendor payments in the unamended amount of $28,900. All in favor? Aye. 6 ayes, so I don't need to do the nays. And Walter beat me to it, but now that we're done and before you leave, I did want to thank you for your efforts. I know it's a job and you get paid, but we still appreciate all the things you did. I think you helped the people of the town and the town as a whole.
Thank you.
So good luck in your new job and thank you for all you've done.
I think she'll do a very good job. We're leaving her in a fairly, I feel like I'm leaving the role in a smoother transition than I took the role on in. So that's has been my objective, and hopefully she feels that way too. I guess you'll find out next year.
All right, so we'll get you out of here and good luck with your training.
Thank you. Yeah, kind of need to keep the EMS license. Okay. No worries. Thank you.
All right, so now we will go back to the, I'm just going to open this up. So now we're ready to move to the library. So hold on a second. Let me scroll down to get the number. I will make a motion to move the budget for the section for the library, which is section 4550, in the select board recommended amount of $278,243.
Second.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Buzz, to move the library department budget, section 4550, in the amount of $278,243. Patty, I need you to move to the microphone, please.
My turn in the hot seat.
Your turn in the hot seat.
All right.
What we usually do at this point is just ask kind of an open-ended question. Is there anything here, anything that you want to bring to our attention, that you want to point out that might be something we would want to take a closer look at, or any changes you want to recommend before we start asking questions?
Yes, thank you. There were a couple of lines that may be reflected on what you have already, where I thought we could cut a little money.
Okay.
Line 620 and 640.
Hold on a second. Custodial, 620.
620
office supplies and custodial supplies.
Yep, office supplies. I didn't really come close to using what was there.
Okay.
I thought we could say, I don't want to cut too much because you never know what might happen, but I thought we could cut 300 from that line safely. And then custodial supplies, which is 640, I thought that we could cut 200 from that line safely. And then there was one more line.
Well, before you, okay.
Library program 674.
Yes. That's the one. Thanks to our incredible friends of the library group, who raises a lot of money for us, and some money that I was able to find through grants. We don't use our entire amount for programs, even though we have greatly increased our programs. And I thought we could cut a little bit out of that, probably another 200 out of that line. And I was trying to see where I could cut because I was aware that this year I did ask for a little more in our collection development line. And
672.
Yep.
Okay.
The reason being our downloadable books consortium bill went sky high. Everyone's did, all the libraries in the state. Last year it was $4,005. In 2025 it's going to be $5,630. And I actually wanted to represent why I think ours has gone up. Last year, our community downloadable at this point in the year, the 17th of December, had downloaded, and this isn't movies, this is books and audiobooks. 16,732 books and audiobooks had been downloaded by the community last year. This year. Last year it was only 13,981. So it's gone up almost 3,000 items in 1 year. People are really doing a lot of downloadables. But yet, in this community, they're still reading a lot of paper books. So both things just continue to thrive. So I figured if we took a little money out of lines that I didn't need it, we could get our collection development line taken care of, which is what that and programming is what people are coming in for. So
Is the downloadable thing, is that a fixed fee or is that a per volume fee?
it's per volume. It's literally per volume, and it's per size of each town. Bigger, like Manchester City Library was, it was huge because so many people live there and use their downloadables. But for a town this size, we have a lot of readers, both downloads, audiobooks, ebooks, and what they're walking in off of the street to come into the library and get. So I feel like at this type of library in Bristol area, our collection is really important.
Is the per download cost increased?
A little bit. Yep.
Just to clarify on Buzz's question, because it's not clear, is it, so if the
Each
usage
book
goes
is-
up in a month, does the cost go up? Or do they say, we'll use this many books in 24, so your cost in 25 is going to be?
That, both, really. It goes up a little bit for the state, which is where we get our downloadables. The per cost per book will go up a little bit, but also our amount that we use has gone up greatly.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's both the cost and the volume that have gone up.
Both,
Okay.
yeah. So that's why we had such a big increase in that. But I don't want to deprive the community of their downloadables or their paper books, so.
So I appreciate you looking for places to reduce. So what we'll need to do is go through and make motions on lines, the 3 lines that you propose, reductions.
Already reduced in here.
Mhm.
Are they?
Compared to the 2024 budget, there are.
All right, maybe that's what I didn't understand. I thought that you were suggesting.
Even further?
So your comment is, when you said we can go take $300 out of line 620, you're saying not that you want to go down from the 1,500 that's in the budget now to 1,200, but there was 1,800 last year and you've gone down.
Let me look. I don't have the
Thank you,
updated
John.
one that you all have,
Yeah,
so.
I hear
the amounts that she mentioned are actually specified as descriptions underneath each line.
Mhm.
So I think what is in the recommended select board budget is already decreased.
Yes, these are the
Gotcha.
recommendations I made to
Gotcha.
the select
Thank you.
board, so I still have that same
Yes.
piece of paper that I'm working off of.
All right, so I misunderstood, but that makes sense. So, does any committee members have any other points they want to make, questions, comments?
I just
Any
think it's
motions to
amazing
amend?
that 16,000 books got downloaded by a town our size last year. I think
It's impressive.
that's fascinating.
Yeah,
And I think warrants the plan that's been put in front of us.
No? Walter, anything? You, okay. So not hearing any other comments, I think we'll go ahead and vote on the bottom line for this budget section. So we're gonna vote on the bottom line for the library section of the budget, which is section 4550. We haven't made any changes, so we're voting on the unamended amount of $278,243. I will mention that I think everyone knows, but in September I was appointed to the library trustees. So I support this, but I'm going to abstain. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain is Paul, so it passes 501. Thank you, you are done.
Great.
You can stay if you'd like, but you are done.
I'll stay for a little bit.
Any comments from the public? Did we surprise you, or did you get, no big changes, so, good.
I was really glad that you caught that it was already in the budget, those cuts.
We work as a team. They usually, it's not that uncommon for them to catch a Paul mistake.
Thank you.
All right, well, now we'll move on to town clerk tax collector, so let me open that. Yep, you got it. So we're gonna make a motion to move the bottom line of the town clerk tax collector, which is section 4140, in the select board recommended amount of $217,900. Walter, second. So motion from Paul, seconded by Walter, for section 4140, which is town clerk tax collector, of $217,900. Rayma, anything you want to bring to our attention before we start asking questions?
I don't think so.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions or comments? I will, I suppose, ask, what's the latest on your part-time clerk, which would be line 120?
Well,
Anything new?
yes.
Excellent.
Yes. We were supposed to have somebody start Monday, but we never heard from her after she accepted the position.
Oh, no.
She didn't.
She's
call.
ghosting you?
She did. We never heard whether she was interested, not interested, decided not to. Didn't know if Monday she was gonna show up or not. She hadn't come in to do any paperwork, and she never showed up.
So she hasn't been onboarded.
That's surprising. So, we interviewed 2 people that night, and, so we went with the second person. Cheryl and I kind of felt different. She liked the first one, I preferred the second one, but I let her pick. And that's one that didn't show, so the one I like, she's supposed to start December 30th.
Okay.
I have to take her to the select board Thursday, so pending their approval
Yeah.
and all the paperwork's in on time, yes, she'll start December 30th, so.
Yes, that's what we're hoping.
Okay, great. Good. Not only an answer, but good news.
That's right, exactly.
All right. I'm trying to think, we're back down to 124 was a big election year, but 25 will be just the municipal election, right? So
Yes,
things
just the
have gone
town
back to-
election and the town meeting. The only difference is that the supervisors usually have to meet once a month now, where they didn't used to have to do that, but it,
Is that the new state law that got passed with the
That they-
voter IDs and things like that?
yeah, that the supervisors have to meet once a month.
Huh, okay.
As long as it's not really busy, they may only have to meet for a half hour, but they do have to meet.
Okay.
And then after the election, it does take them a little longer because they have to scan each person in that has voted. So I tried to put that into consideration for their pay.
Okay. So I hadn't noticed that, but that's the ballot clerks, 191?
No.
No. Oh,
The,
supervisor, the checklist you're saying, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
those are the
131 supervisors,
131,
gotcha.
yeah, and the ballot clerks will only have the town
The
election.
one election, right, that's why I was.
And I should be able to go back to 3 ballot clerks for that one.
Okay, the,
Oh,
Go
no,
ahead, sir.
I just saw this thing on the grant. Have you guys applied for the grant yet for the?
No, we can't apply for it till
Can't do it
later
yet?
on. Yeah, the state will let us know when it's time to apply.
Oh, okay, good.
which line are you looking at, Sue?
I'm sorry, yeah, the 810.
Oh, new equipment
Yeah,
for,
new equipment, yeah.
right. So the only other question I can think of, I shouldn't say that because I might think of another, but with the whole kerfluffle about tax rate and tax bills going out or not going out, is like things you were expecting to do in November or December of this year now going to happen in January and have to get paid for in next year's budget where you weren't anticipating that? Is that's
Yeah,
not a big
it's
enough
a-
problem to worry about, or is that something we need to talk about?
I don't think it's, I mean, it
It is what it
is
is.
what it is. You have to send, the tax bills probably won't go out until the first week of January. So they won't be due until the first week of February. And the worst that it's going to do as far as my office, not as far as money for the town, but as far as my office, we're gonna be ending up doing delinquent notices and lien notices at the same time the first bill for 2025 is coming out, so that's gonna make it harder for our office. Because everything's gonna be happening at the same once, because you gotta go 30 days before you can send a delinquent notice, that's gonna be March.
Okay,
Then by the time you send your delinquent, you send a lien notice, that's gonna be probably April to the middle of April.
And everything that we don't spend in this year hits the reserve fund balance, right?
should, yes.
So,
Yeah, I don't think it's a big problem, I just wanted to ask the expert to make sure we weren't missing something.
yeah,
I'm not planning to turn it into a mountain.
yeah.
All right, anyone else have any comments, questions, motions to amend? All right, we're moving right along. So I will, not hearing that, we'll close debate, and we will now vote on approving the budget section 4140 for town clerk, tax collector. We haven't made any changes, so it's the unamended amount that was originally motioned at $217,900. All in favor? Aye. 6 ayes, so we don't need nays and abstentions.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome very much. Have yourself a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
If
luck
I don't
with-
see you people, have a great Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We missed you, Mr. Claus missed you.
Oh, who did,
No.
yeah, but who did Mrs.?
Oh, Mary Kay.
I'm sorry?
Mary Kay Haney.
Oh, well, that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I hope you ask me next year.
I missed it.
Christine, I'll make the comment that if you wanted to change the order, you certainly can request, but I was planning to do executive next. All right, I make a motion to move the budget section for the executive department, which is section 4130, in the select board recommended amount of $245,670.
Second.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Joe for section 4130, which is the executive department, for $245,670. Christine, anything?
Yeah, I'll point out the biggest changes on it. So under executive assistant, which is line 114.
Yep,
We no longer budget that person in the beach budget, so that's why that has a larger increase. This is strictly my executive assistant, 26 hours a week, for 52 weeks of a year, where some of this was previously in the budget, in the beach budget.
so she's working the same number of hours, but in the past, when she got paid from 2 different lines, now all of her salaries in this
Yeah.
line.
We have her doing very minimal in the beach. She's still a supervisor, but we have her doing very minimal, so we put all of her hours into this budget. And then the other one you'll notice is line 120. This previously was budgeted in 2024 for 2 minute takers with mixture of hours. It's now budgeted, was originally budgeted for 20 hours for 1 minute taker to start the year. When we started the budget season, we worked with the select board and we've increased this position to 40 hours. So it added 20 hours a week, and that is also the minute taker, but she also took on some new tasks as an assistant upstairs in the executive office. So that's why that looks like it jumped drastically. It was adding 20 hours to a week for that person.
Okay.
Which the other lines, obviously, life, disability, FICA, Medicare, retirement,
Yeah,
all
that
changed
all
because of it,
supports.
yep. The only other expense that you'll see increased, and this was increased by the select board, was line 690. Obviously, we budgeted 3,000, that's select board and town administrator expenses. It's when we do the events, like the volunteer appreciation event that we did. We do the holiday parties for the town through there. If there's something else that we're doing throughout the year, it comes out of that line. We did overexpend it this year, so I had bumped it up to 5,000, and the board felt that there are so many things that they're trying to do and accomplish that they bumped it up to 7,500.
Right, okay. But I mean, I also see that on line 312, the project spending is going away. So whatever that was, we're not gonna do it in 2025.
We didn't have any planned projects in 25. We're still trying to close out the projects that we have. So we figured we would eliminate part of that line.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments, questions? Everyone is in a hurry to get out of here, I think.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
No, I think
Yep.
it's pretty straightforward.
Yep, not hearing any more discussion, we'll close debate, and now we will vote on the bottom line to approve the budget. So we're voting on final approval of section 4130, which is the executive department, in the unamended amount of $245,670. All in favor? Aye. We got 6 ayes, so we don't need nays and abstentions. We are done with executive. Finance, right?
Yep.
So finance is section 4150, for those of you following along on your computers. I make a motion to move the department budget for finance, that's section 4150, in the select board recommended amount of $204,585.
I'll second.
Seconded, motion by Paul, seconded by Sue, to move 4150 finance in the amount of $204,585. So, what do we have here, Christina?
The first thing, the finance officer and we changed out the name on, I'm so sorry, let me start over. We hired a finance officer, some of you have met her or
Yeah.
announced her name's Lindsay. We were able to bring her in this year at a lower rate than the original finance officer. So next year puts her about the same rate that he was at when he left. So that really, there's no increase there, but that gives her the increases everyone else is getting next year. If it passes, sorry. Executive assistant, line 120, that's our HR welfare person. Their start has been delayed, but they will start on December 30th. And that's bringing them in at the rate on their rate, and also putting them in for the same increases everyone else would get in April if that goes through. I will point out the next line down is the annual audit, which is 301. We are going to have to do a one-time audit because we are going to be expending, or we've started to expend some money this year. So that's why we bumped that up. That number you're gonna see probably have to stay the same for 2026 as well, because we're gonna have another one-time audit required the following year potentially, so. And then one of the other things we've had to start doing is and don't ask me what the acronym stands for right now, I can Google it, but it's called an OPEB report, and we have to do it with our audit. We had to recreate a lot of things from scratch in our audit, our 2023 audit, which was done this year. So we've redone all those things, and then this was a new requirement that that we had to do. It's retirees, our benefits that we offer retirees. It's a reporting that has to be done on them, and that was an expense we didn't know we would have to do. And it's next year as well, so. Contract services, we left, you can see that we had nothing budgeted in '24. That contract services was actually, part of the year was our finance office. We contracted someone to help at the time, which is the person we hired, to do the work in the finance office, and we kind of poached her from a company. So we left 2,000 in there because we want to be able to go to, there's a senior finance officer that we can go to if we have anything that comes up, and we can go to her and ask her questions. So that's why we left 2,000 in that line. Meetings and memberships was adjusted to account for the HR person as well as the finance officer. And then office supplies was, office supplies was added. If you remember last year, there was a line that got zeroed out
Is that
by
the one?
mistake.
Yeah.
So I didn't bother changing it last year, so
Right.
I just put it back in for the 2 people that are in the budget this year. We left it zeroed. We did spend, because we had to, there was some equipment we had to get, but we just put in 1,000 for next year, so.
So just to clarify, do you want to give people I don't know that it's really a budgeting thing, but just for everybody to know, the update on what's happening with the new executive assistant?
I did. She starts to,
Oh, okay. I knew you told us that she was HR, I didn't realize,
Yeah, the executive
that you said she's starting.
is HR welfare. This is the position that's taking on the welfare position as well. She was originally slated to start December 16th. We pushed out her start date to December 30th. And she lives in Bristol. I think I can say her name. Heather Waterhouse. She's a Bristol resident. And she's she'll meet people on Friday if you're here. She'll be here for the luncheon on Friday.
Everything's set, so the select board has
Yep.
approved it, she's, okay.
Yeah, and she's accepted, she's given notice. It's just the company that she works for has a final payroll of the year, and they've asked her to stay for that payroll. And I said that was fine, I understood that. So she's starting December 30th, so
Okay.
we're excited. I'm so excited.
Any other questions?
Well, I just have a question on the audit,
Sure.
the annual audit. I'm not sure of understanding that. So it's a single audit was not required
For 2023.
for 2023, but now it is. So, but that was the original number was 15,500, or in 2023 was 10,665. What was that covering then?
In 2023, the audit was, well, we ended up paying for some of the 2023 audit this year because of the way the billing came in and when the audit got finished. So the 10,665 paid for 2022 actually. The 2024 paid for the audit for 2023.
Yep.
And then we'll be doing an audit of 2024 next year. So the question is still up in the air about the project timing. Central Street has started, whether we would get any funding enough to kick out a one-time audit or not, that's up in the air. I haven't seen any bills, but it's not the end of the year yet. They have been awarded and they've received the notice to proceed. Sargent Corporation is the name of the company that is gonna start doing the rock project. But we do have to pay for the OPEB so the 20,235 isn't the final number that we're gonna get billed either for the audit, because we've gotten the draft audit for 2023. There are some questions that are up in the air, so we're gonna get one more bill. Most likely that's not gonna hit until next year, so.
And just for everybody's aware, the single audit is if you receive more than $750,000 in federal grant funds, you're required to do a single audit. It's a federal requirement of accepting those funds.
There's
Okay,
one,
thank you.
yeah.
Yeah,
And there's one for 100,000. What is that? I can't, I think it's state.
could be a state
I
requirement.
think that's state requirement. But we definitely are getting over 750 in funds, whether it's all in timing when we're spending the money and when we're not spending the money. So we have a bond anticipation note that I'm not sure how that affects it. We haven't drawn anything down yet on that. And then we also were awarded money from EPA and CDBG, so. And we're doing the loan with USDA, but USDA will not pay until, so the reason you have to have a bond anticipation note is because you have to pay for everything up front, and then USDA will pay you once the project's done, and you can pay off your bond anticipation note, so.
I know you haven't said this, but all I can think is, yeah, free money's not free. Sorry.
I can't say anything right now. There are definitely a lot more hoops with this project than we anticipated. And when you do funding, you just have to be prepared with the different people that you go with funding, all of the different requirements they have. So that's what took so long to get this, even to get an RFP request out with them, so.
I would also say too, like your $2,000 for contract services, sometimes it's super helpful, particularly like in prepping your documentation for a single audit, to reach out to like a really seasoned accountant or CPA. They can really help make sure that whatever you have will meet audit muster when you get to that point. So just making the comment that I think it's good to have access to kind of that expert professional if you need it.
Yep.
Knowing your personal professional background, I appreciate your sharing your knowledge with us.
And we did, the contract services that were paid this year were twofold. They were for Lindsay, obviously, when Lindsay was working for the other company. But we also had a professional that not that Lindsay wasn't a professional, let me rephrase that. We also had a seasoned professional, a senior, that we worked with. We've actually just worked with her again this week because of something that we were trying to fix, so.
I remember meeting her when I was working through the...
Love her, but she's scary. I won't say her name out loud in case she's watching. Love her.
All right.
She would joke, I don't know if I should say it in public, she would joke and say, I'll bring my Glock next time, and I'd be like, it's okay, don't.
All right, any other questions? Comments, suggested changes for finance administration? Finance. Not hearing any, we will close debate, discussion, and now we will vote on final approval for this section for the finance, section 4150, in the unamended amount of $204,585. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We got 6 yeses, so we don't need those. Abstentions. We'll move on to legal. So I make a motion to move the budget for the legal expenses of the town, which is section 4153, and the select board recommended amount of $80,000.
Second.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Sue, to move 4153 legal in the amount of $80,000.
There's really no change. We level funded it. We haven't paid all the bills obviously yet.
Right.
I think we're gonna finish the year closer to 60. And if I can, what we did last year was we have a couple of cases that are still in court, and they're still gonna be in court next year, most likely. So what we did was, for professional services, we encumbered 10,000 out of last year and moved it into this year to pay for those extra services we weren't anticipating. I think we're gonna still have those services, so I may ask the board to consider encumbering funds again, to move it into next year, because we just never know what we're gonna run into for legal throughout the year. But, so I think we're gonna finish closer to 60. If we encumber, it would probably be somewhere between 5 and 10,000 that we'll encumber, so.
I think it makes sense. This is always a guessing game.
a-
Some years we've blown this budget way out of the water, and others not so
I was
much,
gonna
so.
say, we've been, in the time I've been here, I don't think we've ever, except in the past maybe 3 years, ever met this budget. We've always been over, so significantly over some years, so.
Well, I was gonna say the same thing. I can remember in past years, even when the budget was 100 and we were spending more than that. So it kinda looks like the town was doing a better job of managing legal issues and we're not spending as much, so. But I do know from past years' discussions that it's not really an optional thing. We spend what we have to spend, and at the end of the year, we
Right.
hope that it fits. So I kind of look at this almost the way we looked at welfare last year. You don't know what it's going to be, you can cut it, but it doesn't change what the town's going to spend. But in the past, we haven't used this as a target to reduce, so I don't think that that's something that would probably make sense, but I'm still a little frustrated that we can't find things to cut. But now I'm just venting, so I will stop.
Well, we did have some cases that went on for a number of years that kept
We
that
still-
budget up.
We still have, there's, in assessing, there's 2 cases that have gone on for at least 2 or 3 years now. I don't know if it'll finish next year or not. It's a utility cases, and then we have 2 personnel cases, and they've dragged on. So it's been 2 years now that I'm aware of on the personnel cases, so.
All right, so not hearing any more debate, we will close discussion on this section. And now we will vote on the bottom line of approving section 4153 legal in the unamended amount of $80,000. All in favor? Aye. 6 yeses, passes unanimously. So our next section is personal administration, which is section 4155. So I make a motion to move the budget section for personal administration, which is number 4155, in the select board recommended amount of $732,019.
Second.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Les, to move personal administration 4155 in the amount of $732,019.
One thing I'll point out is on line 192. Usually this budget is much higher because we were doing all of the increases in this budget. We felt that it really wasn't showing you what the increases were because they were all in one lump sum. So those were moved back to every line, every department this year. Right now, and we're going to double check tomorrow to make sure we didn't make any mistakes. But we have 30,000 left out of this budget. Everything was supposed to be moved to cover any of the increases from 2024 back to each line. The board voted on budget transfers and we put it right into each of those lines. So if that is true, then that money won't be spent, obviously. That would be what would be remaining from the one lump sum. We feel the one lump sum, we feel putting it back in their budgets is the better way to do it. So that's why we made that change for you, so you could see what the true increases were for each line. So
I know when I joined this committee, it made no sense to me. I had to have it explained to me more than once. I think this makes much more sense, so I'm glad you did
Yeah.
this.
So we did, it took us a little bit, we got the transfer fixed, and then, you won't see, as you'll see, there's nothing budgeted in the line anymore. In 210, the health insurance, it is going up, it's only going up, this is really good, actually, 7.7% effective July 1st. The last 2 years, it's been 14 and 17%, so we were pretty happy with that, even though it's an increase. What we did was, because this doesn't start until July 1st, we did a 4% increase, which is half of the increase. Excuse me.
So the insurance fiscal year is July 1st to June 30th?
Yeah. Yeah. So you'd see the other 4% in the following year's budget.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't change anything in, obviously Medicare, FICA Medicare retirement, we zeroed those out because there won't be any personnel increases here
Mhm.
anymore. Tuition reimbursement, no change. We do have, there will be, this line will be booked out. Someone actually finally took advantage of it and took a class with the fire department to advance their career. It was approved by myself and the department head. It has to go to the board, but we had to develop a policy because we didn't have one, or a form. So we're working on finalizing that, so we can make sure that this person's taken care of correctly. So we didn't make a change to that. It was just nice to see someone using it for an advancing career, so more. The unemployment compensation numbers, Primex is a 10%, actually, did I fix these? I didn't fix my note. Primex was a 10% increase, that's the correct number. I will fix my note.
So this is the actual number, it's not subject to further change?
No, it's the actual.
Okay.
Workers' compensation. That's a good question. Shoot. I think I didn't fix any of these notes. This is the workers' compensation. This is correct also.
The fact that the select board column and the department head number are the same makes me think they haven't been updated, but that's just...
Yeah, but I think they told us what they were gonna do. We calculated them, so this is correct.
Okay.
I will double check and I'll bring it back to you at your next meeting if it's not correct. So if there's some adjustment for
Let
you.
us know at the
Yeah.
next meeting, and then
Well,
if we need to,
I won't be here.
we'll reopen the section in our recap meeting where we're gonna go back to any section that people wanna reopen.
I won't be here at your next meeting, but I will make sure that either I give it to Les or Shannon will be covering for the meeting, so. We did bump up employee testing and screening. There is a caveat in the personnel manual that we're supposed to be doing testing for all new hires. We hadn't been doing it. So we have to we're fixing that, and we're gonna make sure that we're doing that starting January 1st, so we just bumped it up a little bit.
Okay. Well, I don't see any opportunity here. We're not gonna tell employees they don't have health insurance or unemployment compensation or workers' comp, so there's not really much to talk about as far as I know. Anyone else have anything to bring up? Okay, so we will close debate on this, and we'll now vote on the bottom line of approving this section, which is personal administration, section 4155, in the unamended amount of $732,019. All in favor? Aye. We have 6 ayes, so we are done. That is unanimous. If you need a break or something, let me know, but I'm just going to keep going. General government, 4194. Make a motion to move the budget section for general government, which is section 4194, in the select board recommended amount of $440,477.
Second.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Sue, for 4194 general government in the amount of $440,477. Anything?
I'll touch base on a couple.
Okay.
Mileage, we moved those, I think you already talked to a lot of department
We
heads,
did.
so you explained that, we moved that out of here. I can't budget for mileage when I don't know what kind of training each department's gonna do, so we moved them back to the department. Engineering and surveying, I, left it the same. We are going to use it more, we have another bills to pay out of this year, and we do have to do a survey on, Second Street. And the formerly Second Street Extension, so that is, they couldn't finish that survey this year, they're doing it in spring of 2025. And then we have, I think we have some updating engineering, we just have to finish on the parsonage project for this year, sorry. General government and telephones, I obviously, it's over what we budgeted.
Right.
Some of that is the cost that we have to convert, alarm panels were converted to wireless in the town office, the highway department, and water and sewer. With the former, we can't use the existing system when we moved into the public safety building and we converted all of our panels to wireless. They were on an old fire alarm system that when it went off, went just to the fire department building on a ticker tape, and it doesn't, we can't transport it to the new building, not as working condition. So we've had to eliminate those master boxes and change all of the fire panels over to wireless, so.
But that should be a one-time, so the overspend
But
this
we
year
pay
shouldn't
them-
happen again.
We pay a monthly fee though,
Okay.
so now that we're on wireless being monitored, that fee changed, that's why I bumped it. No, I left it
No,
the
you
same.
leveled it.
Never mind, yes. So if I calculated correctly, I shouldn't go over again, but the reason I went over this year was the conversion.
Right.
Sorry. The next number I did have to bump up, software costs have increased. This software includes, the software is all except for library and water and sewer, they pay for in their own budgets. Remediation, we have this was the second year of a 5-year plan. We were supposed to do the 100,000, but we couldn't do this 100, so we did 75 this year, and I'm planning again 75 next year. It also includes an operation and management, or a maintenance agreement with Hub 66. 2025 will be the 5th year of the 5-year payment, and I'll be able to take that out of the budget. But this pays for everybody's software, pays for our IT provider, our backups, our Office 365 for the whole town, and any equipment we have to purchase in the air.
I don't know about it, everyone else, I look at it and I'm like, how is this so expensive? But then I'm like, we don't want to be like, was it Peterborough? We've got fished for money, and I know we, last year or the year before, we upgraded Microsoft to get onto a more secure, so our files had to stay in the United States, and didn't go overseas, and if we, as much as I want to cut this, if we nickel and dime it, I think we open ourselves up to risk, so I'm gonna bite my tongue.
Look at the
Well,
SE.
But if you disagree, I'm sharing this because in case you disagree, I want you to know what I'm thinking.
I can tell you that we've just had, so we've had our ITs check our services last week because we've had people that have intercepted checks that were supposed to be meant for a vendor, changed it to their name. We caught them in the bank. We're like, how are they keeping getting these things? We had someone get the town credit card and charge $50 payments on it. Granted, that's not a lot, but they couldn't get any more because the credit reached its limit. So we disputed, that was all in one day. We discovered all. It was an $80,000 check someone had taken.
So they stole it out of like the
We don't
mail?
know.
Oh, you don't know how they got
We
it?
don't know. We just know that the vendor didn't get it, and the vendor was in Concord. And they tried to cash it in Georgia.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
So we've opened police reports, and so that's separate, that's not all IT, but we did have IT check our systems to make sure we had no breaches, and they've checked everything last week and we have no breaches, knock on wood. But
Do we do an annual cybersecurity audit?
So we did do one that's the 5-year plan. So it's not the cyber, we did an Atom group. We had them come in and do a deep dive of our systems, and it came out with an extensive, this is just before me, it came out with an extensive plan that we had to go through. And when we went out to RFP the year I was interim town administrator, when we got the RFPs, the first person wanted everything done the first year they wouldn't come in, and it was like $250,000 to $300,000 in 1 year just to fix the stuff, not to pay for anything else. So we've been working on that 5-year plan and attacking. We just did this year. It was an extensive network overhaul, somewhere around 60 grand, and it redesigned our network because there were some issues with the way our network was designed with the fiber that potentially left us exposed. We've addressed those issues this year, and we're slowly picking away at the biggest things that need to be taken care of. And in the past 2 years, we've done it a lot. I mean, a lot. So
I think maybe this is more of a comment for the select board, but I do think getting an annual cybersecurity assessment is kind of the industry standard nowadays. And I think I certainly appreciate the intent of a 5-year plan, but in the IT landscape right now, 5 years is an eon. So it might be more prudent to try to crank it out and get it done in a more timely fashion. I mean, probably not for this budget cycle, but I do think, I say this being healthcare is a public service to some degree, right? And that's the standards that all of us are managing to nowadays. We have an annual cybersecurity assessment we do every single year. We implement the recommendations immediately for all those reasons. So,
Do you want to put that on?
my list, yep. We just rewrote our cybersecurity plan. We haven't adopted it yet with the board. We have our IT company, we have Primex is also reviewing it. And we can probably, through Primex, get Atom Group come in and do another cybersecurity audit. So, last time so this is the second time this year that this has happened. The good news is we've been able to catch them, and we've been able to stop it. Actually, the one bank I spoke to about 3 months ago, was it? They had the guy arrested in their lobby while I was on the phone with them. But one bank did cash the check, but we block it on our side, so that bank, wherever it cashed it, lost the money, and we did not. But this is the second $80,000 payment that they've tried to catch. So it's pretty scary, the things that they can do. So.
and we also share too that we try to rotate every 3 years. We get a different vendor to do it, just to so that they're not getting kind of stagnant in their assessment. So, but I just think I don't know how many tens of thousands of dollars that might cost, but if it saves the town from having $6 million tied up in a ransomware attack, that's worth it. So.
I'll have to check, because I'm wondering too if it's covered, because there's a pretty in-depth cybersecurity with Primex Insurance. Okay. So I'm wondering if it might be covered with them, because Atom Group did they charge? That was just before me. Do you know?
I can't remember.
Yeah, from a risk mitigation perspective, Primex might require a cybersecurity assessment, which would be great. Yeah, because
the first time when all of this happened, Atom Group, we got locked down. We weren't allowed to email Primex. They block you. And so Atom Group came in and did a search through and made sure we didn't have any breaches. And then Nesset also worked with them. Nesset's our IT provider, and made sure there weren't any breaches. This time I didn't go to Atom Group. I didn't go to Primex, but I did go to Nesset, and Nesset has done some pretty in-depth checks to make sure there are no breaches. We just couldn't figure out how they're getting some of this information. I just don't know how they got the credit card of all things. So we closed the account down, we disputed the charges, and then we stopped the other check. So, but they are finding unique ways to continue to do stuff. So we've also worked on training. We require 2 things. We require we require we don't allow any changes to be made via email anymore. We had one change that came through, which appeared to be totally legitimate, filed the paperwork, and it was fraud on someone's check. It was a part-time employee. It was caught, but we did lose $2,000, less than $2,000 in that case. So we don't allow employee changes anymore unless you bring it in here. And the only people who can change vendors is myself and the finance officer. No one else can change anything with them. And then the third thing is every employee who has access to email right now has to take CyberHoot, it's called. It's a training that gets emailed to them 1 or 2 times a month. And so they have to pass in order to keep moving on with the training, or they have to continue to take the same one over until they pass. So, and we monitor and see out of the employees who's making sure, who's not been doing their work, and they get reminders. So and they're little things they remind you to look for in an email that you get, or if you get somebody calling you even, it just reminds you to look for extra things. So we're trying very hard to teach the employees as well. So, but
That's good.
I can tell you of that money, roughly 75,000 is software.
Oh, buying new licenses, updated licenses,
Yeah.
things like that?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm still doing.
Is there anything else, or do you want us to start asking questions?
Let me just look down through. On item 411, the heating, oil, and propane.
Yep.
There's a little bit of money in there to keep 85 Lake Street heated until we can sell the property. Also, a little bit of money in 410, but we felt we could still reduce that line. We've had some pretty good insurance rates. We've had some pretty good electric rates, but we left some money in there for 85 Lake Street as well, because we don't think that we'll have that property sold until January, February. So we wanted to make sure we had enough to heat it and also put electricity in. So
I do remember being told in the past that someone wanted to winterize it, and our water department said that they didn't think they could completely drain it, so we need to keep it from freezing.
one of the concerns is because the boiler is also a pressurized system, is that the right words? That even if we drain it, starting it back up could be a problem. We don't know. We haven't had to.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ask
No,
you
no.
for the justify, I was just sharing with, in case there are people on the committee
Yeah.
who weren't aware of that. Because that would have been my thought, you winterize the building and then you don't have it for utilities. And supposedly Jeff said, no, it doesn't really work.
And we have gotten through the public hearing process.
Yes, and we're just waiting. So the board voted to sell the building, but they haven't voted how yet. I've reached out. I have a quote from a real estate appraiser, I'm meeting with them tomorrow. I have a quote from an auctioneer. And I think that was it. I think there's one more quote coming from a real estate, so that they may be looking at that Thursday. The only thing more things I'll point out. I made a mistake. I can certainly find the money, I'm sure, if I had to, but I wanted to point it out to you on the town clock. That's another one of those weird lines, it's zeroed out.
Which one is
I'm
that?
sorry, 490. We have a town clock, it continues to be maintained, it has to be, there's someone who climbs up in the tower, they maintain it, wind it, they check it, they set the time. I believe that it is Bob Patton used to do it for years. If you knew Bob Patton, he was on the fire department. His son has taken it over after Bob passed away. So I did not, somehow that line zeroed out, so it didn't budget there. I would love to be able to put the 750 back in if I could. I would understand if you don't want to do that, but I just wanted to let you know that it was zeroed out by mistake.
So it's like the office supplies last year. It's a small enough number, it's not worrying about, but ideally the money would be in the budget.
And we I believe we've just gotten the bill for this year, so that money will be expended, just so that you know.
I'll make a motion to add $750 to line 490.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion from Joe, seconded by Walter, to amend line 490, which is the town clock in the general government section 4194, from the current amount of 0 to a new amount of $750. Joe, you want to talk to your motion?
We're gonna spend it anyways, so it kind of makes sense to have in the budget, and then if we didn't put it in there this year, we'll probably end up adding it next year anyways, because there will be an expense line, the department will request it, the select board would probably recommend it, and then, so it just feels a bit silly to not have it there.
I have an offer of a reduction after. Do you want me to tell you so that you can decide whether to vote on it or not?
Sure. Sure, I can withdraw my motion.
So, no, you can
No,
leave it.
no, hold on.
The next line down, 550, I think that we could probably cut 2,000 out of that. And be safe. I still have, one more billing, that will come out of 2024.
For printing, okay.
Yep, the printing line, so I think we could cut that down to 8,000, which would more than offset that 750 if you're okay with that.
So the comment I was gonna make, Joe, is that I don't disagree with your thought, but I'm also like, there are, I mean, I don't know exactly where the line is, but my opinion is that certainly in the budget as a whole and in the larger departments, there's some money there. I mean, we heard, you missed the meeting, one of the things we heard last week, which wasn't a total surprise, is that the fire department basically said, we can make a reduction in this line for the 25 budget, because I was planning to buy this piece of equipment. But I had enough unexpended money in my 24 budget that I went out and bought it this year, so I don't need the money for next year. So if it was a large amount of money, I'd be like, yeah, we're putting our town employees in a tough place because they have to spend the money and it's not there. I think they could probably find 750, so I wouldn't have made the motion, I would have just said, sure, you can do it. But you made the motion and now I'm like, okay, I probably do think it makes sense. And now since Christina's given us the other one, it's much easier. Thank you.
I wasn't sure I was going to, but I'm like, it's perfect time, I should.
Okay, so, so before we do anything else, we need to vote on Joe's motion. So does anyone else want to make a comment or state a position to try to influence other committee members? Not hearing any other discussion, we will close debate. I'm not doing a formal motion to close. If you disagree, speak up. We're going to close debate on the motion, and now we're going to vote on the motion. So we're going to vote on amending line 490 of section 4194, which is the town clock in the general government section, from the current amount of 0 to a new amount of 750. So vote yes, you're looking to change this to a new amount of 750. You vote no, you're voting to keep it at the old amount of 0. So again, I don't need to do a roll call. Let's just say, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We have 6 ayes, so that passes unanimously. Can I go ahead and make a motion to amend? So I'll make a motion to amend line 550 of section 4194, which is printing in the general government section, from the current amount of $10,000 to a new amount of $8,000.
Second.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Les, to amend the printing line in general government, which is line 550 in section 4194, from the current 10,000 to a new amount of 8,000. Having already heard from our town administrator, does anyone else want to? I don't have anything to say to, I don't think I need to say anything. Does anyone else have anything they want to say?
No, thank you.
All in favor, so we're voting on the motion. I don't think I need to explain it. All in favor? Aye. We have 6 ayes, that passes. So, let me see here. Sharon? Oh, you're writing the new number, thank you. I
just wrote it down for you too.
Yeah, thank you, got it.
The only other two, they look like a bigger change. Vehicle maintenance, we just got the town car. We did pay to fix it. And we added some money into the line. It caught obviously from what you've heard from other department heads, vehicle maintenance is costing a little bit more. So we moved it from 1,500 to 2,500, and that's line 660. Just to be able to do oil changes if there's any tires that we need or other repairs. But the repair that we just did to it was $2,800, so. And then the last one, new fund area access, is our media manager. It is, some of this is offset by the cable franchise fee, not all of it. But the board had adjusted, adjusted the contract for the media manager by 5% this year. Or next year, sorry.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions?
All right. So that was gonna be my question. Since the answer is no, there are no other questions or motions to amend or comments, we will close debate and we will vote on approving the bottom line budget for the general government section, which is $41.94, in the new amended amount. Christina, you can tell me if I get this right or wrong. $139,227. What?
You're way off. You're way off.
You said 100.
No, 300.
Reduction.
400.
Really
I was-
good.
Well, I told you to correct
I
me.
don't want to agree to that one.
Wow, I usually can do math. That was disappointing. Okay. Okay. So now, let me go back and restate, just to be completely clear. We're voting on the bottom line budget for general government, which is section 4194. We've amended the budget. So the new amended amount is $439,227.
Yes.
All right. I don't need to roll call. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We have 6 ayes, so that passes. I was trying to take notes so I could keep my detailed things, and so I think I stopped listening. I'm sorry. All right, so we're done with general government, and the next section is cemeteries.
I didn't ask the cemetery trustees to come. I don't think the chair could have. He's been ill.
That's my understanding, yeah.
But they did reduce their budget with the select board from 1,200 to 800. There will be a little bit more coming out of this year's budget. They're gonna have to buy some supplies before the end of the year in order to be able to do some of their spring cleanup as well. But they did reduce it to 800, and they gave you a breakdown.
Before we get into detail,
sorry.
can I make a motion, please?
No. Hey, you think you want out of here, apparently.
All right.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Which benefits all of us.
Yeah, I know we want to go, but we're supposed to make a motion before we discuss. So I'll make a motion to move the bottom line department budget for cemeteries, which is section 4195, in the select board recommended amount of $800.
Seconded.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Joe, for cemeteries 4195 in the amount of $800.
So their breakdown, 150 for trainings, their cemetery association and graveyard association is 100, and their cemetery maintenance and care is 550. So,
Which adds up to 800.
yep.
I don't have any questions. Does anyone else have a question or
Oh,
comment?
actually, I lied. They went up by $50, sorry.
Yeah, they
I
went
was
from
looking at the
750 to
wrong
800.
year.
So let's vote.
So not hearing any more
Sorry.
questions or comments, we will close debate or discussion, and now we'll vote on approving the bottom line of the cemetery section, which is 4195 in the unamended select board recommended amount of $800. All in favor? Aye. 6 ayes, so it passes unanimously. We're done with cemeteries. Insurance. I will make a motion to move the bottom line for the insurance section of the budget, which is section 4196, in the select board recommended amount of $77,223. Motion by Paul, seconded by Les, to move the insurance section 4196 in the amount of $77,223. Go ahead, Christina.
The note on the 480, the first line, I remember checking these. So the note, I think that we got these during the select board, to be honest with you, and I don't think I fixed this note because I remember looking at these numbers. So the first one is insurance, property, and liability, and there is a 9% increase from the Primex. The only other change that you'll see there is a new line called insurance claims expenditures. We've been advised that the cleanest way and the most transparent way in the past, the way the former finance officer did these, they did them as a liability account and you never saw it. So they recommended that we put these into the budgets, but my concern with that is now that if you're booking, let's just throw a number out, $10,000 item that is being offset on revenues with an insurance check to somebody's budget, it'd be different if it's just $10,000, but if it's an $80,000 truck that burnt, it's going to hurt their budget, and I don't think that's right. So we chose to put it in the insurance lines, so you will see a number on the other side, on the revenue side, that will offset this. Not completely, because we do have a $1,000 deductible, but we will book those to the insurance deductible line, and that will be booked because we just did one, I think. Yeah, we just did one, so that's booked for $1,000. It's just, this was printed before we booked it.
So that doesn't change. The deductible was always put in here.
Right.
But in the past, the spending of the insurance proceeds to make the department whole was
Yeah.
done within the department, and you move it.
No, it
It
was
wasn't
done
done.
behind the scenes, and you never saw it.
It was done on the balance sheet.
So
Yeah.
you're making it visible, but you don't want to put it in the department, so you're putting it in insurance.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So we aren't budgeting anything for that line, we just wanted you to know why that line was there. You will see something booked to it, but we won't ever put a budget, because you just don't know what you're going to be.
Right.
So the main change in this is the 9% increase on property and liability.
So I just, because on line 480, because the comment is there, I just want to be 100% sure.
Yeah.
This number in that line is a firm number from Primex or an estimated number that could still get changed?
I believe these were given to me during the select board process, and I missed correcting these notes. I will just double check it, but I remember checking all of these numbers when I got the bills from Primex. So I'll double check it just to make sure if anything's, and I'll send you a note for your next meeting so you'll know.
That'd be fine. I think we're just saying the same thing we said before. Is
Yes.
This is not something we're looking to cut on you, but if it
No.
turns out that the premium's more, we still have to pay it, so we want to make sure the right number's in the budget.
Yep.
Okay. Any other comments? Not hearing any, we will close discussion, and now we'll vote on approving the bottom line for this section of the budget, which is insurance, section 4196, in the unamended amount of $77,223. All in favor? Aye. We have 6 ayes. We are done with insurance. The next section is beaches. I make a motion to move the budget section for beaches, which is number 4521, in the select board recommended amount of $48,574.
A second.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Sue, to move beaches 4521 in the amount of $48,574. Christina?
I'll point out a couple of lines. Line 301 is contracted services. It had previously been in the maintenance and repairs, but we just felt that it would be better to break out those contracted services so you could see them. It is contractor costs to install, repair of the swim lines throughout the year annually, and they do both Avery Crouse and Cummings Beach. The line 430 is maintenance and repairs. You will see a substantial increase there. Our swim lines have had it and they need to be replaced. So he has quoted $6,464 to replace both swim lines at Avery Crouse and Cummings Beach. So that's the substantial increase, and we will be, we added 500 to replace permit signs and pedestrian signs that have been requested by the board. So there's been some confusion over some of our pedestrian signs, so we're going to fix them for next year, so.
So when you say swim lines, you're talking about the line with the buoys, with the floats on it that keep the boats away from the swimmers?
Correct.
Okay.
At both beaches.
At both beaches.
Yep.
Was,
Oh, we did add more material, sorry, under line 610 also,
yep,
sorry. In error, our beach stickers were not budgeted here. So we had to increase this to cover both chairs, trash bags, work gloves, and then the beach stickers that we have to purchase, so.
okay, you ready for questions?
Mhm.
Let's just start with the one you did, the materials. So I kind of understand trash bags and work gloves and having to print the stickers. Chairs? We buy, I thought,
We do supply beach chairs. They're camp chairs. We do supply them. They are returned to us. If they're still in good shape, we will reuse them the following year. And if they're not, then we have to replace them.
okay, that was gonna be my question. I wasn't clear that, I thought we would hire someone and give them a chair and then tell them you're good for a couple of years, but we take the chair back
We do,
and
yeah.
then we evaluate.
We don't let them keep the chair, no. We do, but some of those chairs have quite a wear and tear depending on the weather and the use, but we've been able to get a couple of years out of them, I think.
So is the, I mean, all right, I'm starting to waste time because it's only
So-
$800, but is it, so if there's 6 attendants, does this line have money in it for 6 chairs? Or you're saying we probably are expecting to buy 2 chairs and there's money for 2 chairs in here?
My understanding is it would be however many chairs we have to replace. So if all 6 had to be replaced, we would replace all 6.
Right.
But the money doesn't take that into consideration. It's only probably going to be 2 or 3 chairs, if that.
Gotcha, okay.
Can I just ask you a question? So,
Yep.
Please.
just to make sure, so the 6 chairs that you supply, but why don't?
Well, right now only
Oh,
4,
only 4. okay,
because that's
but-
all we've had for staff.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But that's for people coming in who don't have chairs and they just want to borrow a chair? Or do you
No,
rent them?
that's for the
no, it's
attendants.
for the
Oh, it's for the
attendants.
attendants. I'm
Attendant.
thinking it's
Sorry.
the people that,
No, the attendant.
No, we're nice people, but we do not
No, we
supply
take-
chairs to beach.
Right, we might want to
Hey.
start renting chairs at the.
Rent
beach.
I was just gonna say, I got an idea, when we take them from the beach, we should start keeping them. No, kidding.
Yeah, okay.
No, it's for the attendants. So it says chairs here, but doesn't mean we're going to buy a chair
Oh,
or
okay.
buy 6 chairs every year. We're just going to replace them as needed, or if we
Right.
get 6 people, then we're gonna have to buy 2 new chairs,
Okay,
so.
all right, got it.
But the beach stickers were unanticipated, and I have to find out where they're booked, because I don't see them in here.
Oh, so we buy them every year, but they just somehow got overlooked in previous years, is that what you're saying?
We did not put them in the budget. When we were doing the budget, we didn't realize that it was coming out of the beach budget, the stickers. So, and we don't have to buy them every year. Sometimes if they get a good deal, I think they bought, if I remember correctly, I think they bought transfer station stickers and beach stickers, multiple years of them.
Yeah,
And they were able to do that in 1 year, and we probably didn't have to buy them, and I didn't notice that and didn't budget, so.
That brings me to another question, and so, I guess, wasn't it last year, I think, or maybe the year before as well, that they couldn't get the stickers for the beach at the transfer station, right? They used to be able to get
Not
the
at,
town hall or?
You're talking where they're available for.
Yeah, where they're
for-
available for, yeah, for.
so the beach stickers only would have been at the transfer station if the select board were out there.
Yeah.
Or the beach crew, but we only had 4 employees this year.
Yeah.
So we couldn't put them out to sell stickers at the transfer station. We also did not put them out here. Normally you could get one by coming
Yeah.
in and getting them from outside, but when you only had 4 staff covering your summer, we couldn't do that either.
Okay. So
But
it'll be the same this year as well?
it'll be this,
Yeah.
most likely it'll
Most
be the
likely.
same, but Raymond will have the extra, knock on wood, person. So that person might be able to do some of that if needed, so, but we let Raymond, Cheryl, we also, we ran out of, beach stickers this year, and we had to put them on colored cardstock, matching the stickers that were on the vehicles and putting them on the dash because we ran out and we didn't want to buy that color at the end of the year, so we will have to pay, that, I forgot that, so glad you said that, because we have to buy stickers, so.
I kind of want to go back, I want to go back to line 430.
Yep.
So the majority of this $8,000 is for new
So
lines
Yep.
at both beaches, and that's a one-time expense.
Correct. Well,
Was
one
it-
time,
I mean,
maybe once every 4
Yeah.
or 5 years.
oh, is
Yep.
it that? I thought it was longer, whatever, but it's not every year.
It
It's
depends on how much damage to them. It depends on if they are taken care of properly. They haven't been taken care of properly in the past. This contractor is doing a phenomenal job taking care of them better, so. So I do think you can probably get them to last longer now, but in the past, we did have some issues, so.
But you had mentioned, I think you mentioned last year that the price went up because the person, maybe they weren't doing a great job, but you said he retired and the new person was charging a lot more money. So it's good to hear we're getting better service for that, a lot
Yeah.
more money too.
Yeah, he's,
But where I was going with this is,
Yeah.
was there any discussion with the beach manager or with the select board about, splitting this up, do one beach this year and then the next beach next year instead of just
I
taking it all in one?
don't think there's a possibility of making one good line out of what's left.
Okay.
So before this person was hired, there was a year that the beach lines were left on the beach and they froze in.
Oh, okay.
And that caused a little bit more damage than we thought, I think. And so and they get cut throughout the year, people will cut them or the boats might cut them. So it made it much harder to make one good set to run both beaches, so.
Okay.
So that was their recommendation is to replace them both because they're gonna have a hard time making one good set out of them. So that's why we didn't do one beach or the other. I think we did discuss that, I thought, yeah. But I keep looking at Les because I'm like, oh, what?
No, she was there for that discussion, so that's,
Yeah,
makes
so-
sense, but, okay. I was hoping I could make a motion, but I think you've talked me out of it.
I'm sorry. I'm
That's all
not,
right.
but no, I'm kidding.
Well, the beaches are a big part of the town. We don't want to do
Yeah.
something that would make them suboptimal.
Well, and this line should go back down too in the following year because knock on wood, as long as there's no other major issues, I don't want to jinx us, it should go back down because we won't hopefully need to replace the beach lines for at least 5 years after this, is my thoughts, so.
Okay. The only other question I have is, changing subjects a little bit, is that the town, the select board had the town change the categories that we were selling beach stickers for.
Yes,
Did we see any significant change in beach revenues for '24 as compared to '23?
yes, let me just
Did they
look that
go
up real
or
quick.
down?
They went up,
I thought Raymond said they went up.
I just ran the
I'm not
report.
sure how significant it was.
I just asked because I know that at one point a few years ago I had said, well, this makes no sense because in my mind I was thinking the beach sticker should raise revenue to fund the operation of the beach, and so I had said something, and I talked to, I don't know, remember he was on the on
Done.
this committee, but I talked to Don, I think I was at a
Don
select board meeting, and I
Milbrand,
made
yeah.
the comment at the select board meeting, and Don Milbrand corrected me and said, no, it is not the intention of the select board that the stickers raise enough revenue that it pays for running the
Right.
beaches. The beaches are a service that the town provides, we pay for that out of municipal funds, and so, but I still would like to close the gap as much as possible.
I haven't projected yet for 2025, but I can tell you for, so in 2023, we got 14.9. In 2024, they were only in one category in 2023.
Yes.
So that same category, which is beach permit standard, we got 15,020 this
Okay.
year. And then standard combo, we got another 450. And then transferable was only 100, and then beach permit guest was 300. So roughly $1,000 more
Right.
than the year before. So we haven't gotten a huge bump up, but we have gotten a little bit of a bump from it.
Okay.
I think it's also made people a little bit more happy about being able to do the difference in the. So before you could only get the one permit or two permits. You couldn't get
For
any
one
more
tax
than
bill, you
that.
got 2 permits.
Right. And now you can get one permit and one that's called a transferable. So you have to have one vehicle with the sticker on it, and then the other one can list out all the vehicles in your household family. So if you have a family of drivers, 2 kids that might be driving, and you have 4 vehicles, now you can just transfer the permit from one vehicle to the other. And even though you can take 4 different vehicles, you can still only bring 2 to the beach.
At any one time.
But your child can now go to the beach without having to take your car. So we found people very happy with that, but it has to be in your household, so.
Gotcha. All right, that's it for me. Anyone else have anything else they want to keep the meeting moving, Paul? All right, not hearing any more comments, we will close discussion on this, and now we will vote on approving the beaches section of the budget, which is 4521. We haven't made any amendments, so it's in the original amount of $48,574. All in favor? Aye. We have 6 ayes, so it passes unanimously. And now we will do economic development. I make a motion to move the economic development / energy committee section of the budget, which is section 4651, in the select board recommended amount of $1,300.
Second.
I thought Mr. Energy would second it. But Sue spoke up. Motion by Paul, seconded by Sue, to move section 4651 EDC in the amount of $1,300. Christina?
The main adjustment is that we did lower the EDC projects, but the intent of that is to save the $3,000 from this year's budget. Not save, so to speak, but we have a contract with Mike Vignali. He is doing the work on the Pemmy Path project, and that we're going to be using those funds next year. So the contract will encumber the $3,000 for next year to work on that project. And then we just reduced it to $1,000 to cover any additional costs, because I know that the Pemmy Path project, they're working very hard to get that moving forward, so.
I was talking to that subcommittee chair before this meeting to get an update, so that was interesting, yes.
And then, so we had encumbered, I can't think of the exact amount, we had encumbered, I think, $1,000 from last year, to pay towards some of the project this year, and we will have spent all of that encumbrance this year with with Mike McNally. He's the contractor / engineer, so. We do anticipate that he will be doing more work on the plans and the project in the next year. So the energy committee fee is only up by $50. It's actual costs, so that's why
I
we.
see, it's the membership into the state organization. I don't have any questions or comments. Anyone else want to say anything? Not hear any, we will close discussion, and now we'll vote on approving this section of the budget for the economic development and Energy Committees, section 4651, in the amount of $1,300. All in favor? Aye. We get 6, we are approved. Alright, need to open up another.
Just a paid political announcement
Please go ahead.
for the Energy Committee, starting sometime in March. If you are a residential Eversource customer in Bristol, your rates will be going down because Bristol will be starting up its community power
Yeah.
program.
We voted on it in March to move forward with the community power at town meeting. It's just taken a few extra steps to get everything, all the requirements off the ground. So, knock on wood, moving
So-
forward.
That would
So-
be nice.
So I just saw in the paper that Unitil and Eversource are dropping their rates at as of February 1st. The community power will still be.
Well, our participation is conditioned on the aggregate rate being less than. I noticed, unless it's a scam, and I don't think it is, but I got a coupon in the mail about 3 weeks ago from Eversource
Really?
saying that if I commit to stay with them for a year, that I can apply for a $100 prepaid Visa card. And I assume because it had my account number and other things on it, it looked legit, stuff that a scammer wouldn't know.
Right.
And I took that
Oh,
as
I
a
don't
political. I take it as it's
Right, they're trying
an
to lock
attempt
you
for
in.
many,
Oh, yeah.
right, to
Yeah.
keep people out of this, because we are I forget what number we are in terms of towns, but about 40% of the towns in New Hampshire are now enrolled in
seems
the
to be
Community
very
Power
popular, yeah.
Corporation. And there's another 10 or 15 pending, so, I mean, Eversource is in world hurt in terms of customers. And so the rates may come down.
Okay.
Tough.
All right. So now we have the last 3 sections, which are basically the debt section of our budget. So I will make a motion to move the debt service principal section of the budget, which is 4711. I don't have it in front of me. I think it's got a different number in front of it than the old one, but I'll still say 4711 because we all know what that is. In the select board recommended amount of $353,270.
Second.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Buzz, to move debt service principal, section 4711, in the amount of $353,270. I don't think there's much discussion here. We're not defaulting on bonds, so we're not going to cut any of these things, and there's no reason to increase them, so. Not hearing anyone disagree with me and speak up, we will close debate. We'll move to vote on the budget section for debt service principal, number 4711, in the unamended amount of $353,270. All in favor? Aye. Passes 6-0.
I'll just add a comment that you will note 997 was zeroed in the select board budget, which is the Central Street. We're not expecting a bond payment until 2026, so that's why that was zeroed, so. But we will have to put that obviously back in 2026.
Right. Whether we're paying on the grant anticipation loan or we're paying on the something else, we'll be paying.
Yeah, well, we'll be paying on the, no, it'll be our, so 2020.
Oh, this is principal, so
Sorry,
like,
this
the-
is
the-
principal.
The grant anticipation is interest only, so it's not
Yes,
in that
yeah.
section, it's in this next section. Okay, I make a motion to move the budget section for interest on long-term bonds and notes, section 4721, in the select board recommended amount of $190,341.
Seconded.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Joe, to move 4721, which is interest on long-term debt, in the amount of $190,341. Again, I don't have anything to say. Anyone else wants to speak up? Not hearing anything, we will close discussion, and now we will vote on approving the budget section for interest on long-term debt, section 4721, in the unamended amount of $190,341. All in favor? Aye. We have 6 ayes, so it passes unanimously. And the last section for the evening is I make a motion to move the budget section for interest on tax and revenue anticipation notes, section 4723, in the select board recommended amount of $18,000.
Seconded.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Joe, for section 4723, interest on TAN for $18,000. Again, I have no comments. Anyone else? Not hearing any comments, we will vote to now approve this section of the budget, 4723, interest on TAN, in the unamended amount of $18,000. All in favor?
Aye.
We are unanimously approving that. I believe,
I'll just add a comment. I have no idea how they were paying interest at $1,500 on a tan. So,
I don't either. Well, although interest rates back then were only like, what, 1.5, 2, I don't know. You weren't making anything in the bank, so they weren't killing you on loans either. As far as I know, that is all the sections we
It
were
is.
planning to cover tonight. If I got it wrong, please correct me. Not hearing any corrections, we will move on to our next order of business, which is approving the minutes of our most recent meeting, which was December 10th of 2024, which was last Tuesday. I have to admit, I read the first draft of these and submitted edits, and I haven't looked at them since, so I don't have any comments. Does anyone else have any comments? I'm not picking on you.
I do, I'm gonna wait till he does
I really
his.
appreciate you doing this.
Well, this is nickel and dime stuff.
All right.
On the first page, under others present, in the last line after the first word department, there should be a semicolon, a colon, a comma instead of the semicolon. And the semicolon should come after the word chief.
Okay, which,
Others present,
oh, yeah.
second line begins with the word department, comma, chief, semicolon.
Chief
I
Joanne
see.
Bailey. We should tell Joanne that we changed her title.
Where's he saying that?
in the top, under others present,
Oh, I'm
here.
looking up there. Okay.
Chief Joanne Bailey is
adding a
doesn't make
different,
sense.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
On the second page, the second paragraph, the next to the last line, I think there's something missing towards the end. I think it should say, we'll need a replacement fuel pump in 2025 and such costs are not covered, or something to that effect.
Yes.
Yep, I got you, see.
And
Give our note takers a section and write that down.
See?
Okay. Ready to go next one?
Yep, we're good.
in the final paragraph, about 3/4 of the way down, the line begins with Heidenreich.
Oh,
Where?
he's
Three
gotta
quarters
be,
of the way down on the final paragraph under fire department. The line begins Heidenreich.
Okay.
The amount of revenues obtained through the department services has been higher because it's amount, not revenues.
all right.
So you've got have, the word have should be
I understand
have.
you're saying the grammar's wrong, it's a
This
plural.
is grammar.
Right. I don't know where it is, but what you said makes sense.
I've got her.
Yeah, as long as they got it, it's okay.
Okay. And then this one is a factual question. Under review and approval of minutes,
Yeah,
um,
so page
I
5.
thought, my recollection is that Rob Glassett abstained. And in fact, it says the committee voted 401,
Yeah,
so.
You are correct, thank you, I missed that.
and
Mr.
also,
Glassett is abstaining, not yes.
I will point out you amended those minutes also. So it says, oh, never mind.
It says the motion to
Motion
approve
approved
amended
Got
minutes.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, but
I read the
Rob
note
abstained
right.
because he wasn't here for the meeting.
Good catch.
And that's it.
Sue, go ahead.
Oh, I just have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's funny that you say that. Under correspondence,
Yep.
roll call vote taken. Mr. Regan, yes. Mrs. O'Donnell, yes. Mr. Christie, who was not here. Good habit.
Good for you.
Yeah. That was the only one I saw, other than the correction.
Right.
He would
So,
have.
so the vote was not 6-0, it was 5-0.
Yeah. Oh, yes, so the final vote would have been 5.
Right. So delete Mr. Christie and change the count from 6. Did you get both of those, Shannon?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay, so we will now vote on approving the minutes as amended. All in favor? Aye. So so the vote is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favor, 1 abstained. Mr.
Oh.
Christie.
I'm abstaining too, sorry.
Oh, okay. I should
I
put my
lost-
glasses
I
on.
lost focus. No, I didn't raise my hand for abstaining.
And don't we need a motion in the second?
They did.
Oh.
I thought I said it, but I don't
Yeah, you
pay
did. I
attention.
was telling her something, sorry.
So I will just for my own benefit, I will point out that you are free to vote as you want. Even if you're not at the meeting, if you read the minutes, you are allowed to vote yes. Just want to make sure I'm okay with you abstaining. Just want to let you know you don't have to abstain. Okay. So we're done with minutes, right? Correspondence. I don't think the only correspondence I had was sending the note to Kate for the announcement in the Bristol Buzz, and hopefully you've already all seen that, so that's nothing new. I don't think anyone else contacted me, so no. Does anyone have any correspondence they want to share? Christina?
We posted it on the town's website as well,
Yep,
and we posted it on the budget committee page under a news item. So-
yep, I asked for all of those things to be done. Not hearing any other correspondence, we'll move to the next item, which is comments. Usually we start with the select board. Anything going on with the select board? Or anything else you would like to make us aware of us? Or
No,
ask us for?
no, just, it's been a good process. I wish there were more places we could cut, but
So I'm going to take the opportunity to make a comment, and I'm basically going to say the same thing. I'm going to ask you to indulge me while I feel somewhat frustrated, and I almost feel like, because in past years we've found places to cut, and at the end of the session we end up, I mean, it's not a tremendous amount of money, but it's a significant amount of money. Our budget is less than what the select board gives us, and we're not on track I don't think we're on track to do that. And I'm a little frustrated, and I've been thinking about it, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm not going to read RSA, so I can't quote it to you, but my understanding as an official budget committee, our job is to review and recommend a budget to the town meeting. So our reason to exist is not to cut the budget. It's just what we always do. It's what we expect to do when we're not doing it, but it's not required of us. So I've come to the point where it's like I either want to challenge myself and the rest of you to change our behavior and start making some cuts, or I want some help to readjust my expectations.
Okay.
I just want to finish spouting, and then I'd love for you to speak up, because I don't feel like there's, huge amounts of fluff in here that we're missing an opportunity to cut. I think part of the problem, I was talking to somebody else and they made the comment, I think it's true. I think in some respects, part of the reason I'm frustrated is that the select board took more care to cut things before they gave us a tighter budget than they normally do. there's
Not
less
just the
easy
select
things,
board, not
there's
the
less
voters.
easy things to cut because the department heads and the select board did a tighter job this year. So I think my feelings are not entirely justified, but it doesn't change my feelings, so I'm looking for some help, please.
I was just gonna say, I don't think it's a reflection of the budget committee not, being good stewards of taxpayer dollars. I think it's a reflection of the fact that the department heads, the select board, and the budget committee are aligned on the priorities and goals of the town, and that's how an effective organization should be ran. I think it's a testament to the fact that over the past few years, we've gotten far more aligned as independent committees and as employees of the town than certainly in prior years.
Yeah, that's what I would say. They've cut their own budgets, which is great. I mean, because you're looking at them, you don't have to touch it. You're kind of going, well, they've already taken care of it. So I don't understand, what you're complaining about.
I'm complaining because maybe it's not justified, but I took some pride that at the end of the cycle, the number that we went to the town meeting with was lower, not by $5, by tens of thousands of dollars than the select board. Being the cheap person I am, I took pride in that, and I'm missing that this year, and that's what I'm frustrated with. I think I'm gonna go back to what I said. I think I have to adjust my expectations, but I wanted to take the opportunity to share it because I wasn't sure if other people were kind of feeling the same way. If you wanted to say, no, Paul, you're right, it's tough, but we need to find places to cut because that's what we want to do, or you're gonna say what Joe says, which is, it's a good budget, there's not fluff in there, it makes sense, we're comfortable recommending it to the voters at town meeting, just adjust your feelings, which is hard to do, but is possible.
I think typically, historically anyway, that the budget committee versus select board budgets was much more adversarial.
And I'm happy that it's not anymore.
So I think there was that belief that the budget committee was going to cut and say, deal with it however we have to. And I feel like we're all more aligned, like Joe said, about our goals and objectives and our understanding that we need to keep the good employees that we have. And I think it's kind of a beautiful thing that we're all going forward united on that and able to do a united front to the taxpayers, even though as a taxpayer we may not be happy with increases, but we understand why we have to do it. And I think I find some beauty in that we're not in that stage where somebody stands up and randomly takes $300,000 out of the budget and says, good luck, find it where you can.
Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say, we've brought budgets to the town with those types of cuts in it, and the town put the money back anyways. So sometimes I guess what I would say is the goal of the budget committee is not to cut. The goal of the budget committee is to ensure that the town has the funds necessary to provide the services that the community expects from the government. So that would be my way of.
But not approve unnecessary. I mean, you don't want to.
Correct.
And that was the caveat I was gonna add, exactly.
Right.
I don't disagree with what you said, but the caveat is provide what's necessary, but make sure that unnecessary things have been removed.
See, my opinion is this, I think that I always try to look for the good that happens. So when COVID came around and everything like that, people had to, it was like a shock. You had to kind of look at your budget, you had to look at your stuff, where can I spend, where can I cut, what can I do? And I think that people are still following that same mindset, which is great. I mean, you kind of have to think about that in any type of business. You want to follow, what's going to be, what's going to make your town run better, your business run better, whatever it is, without throwing the necessary stuff. You want luxuries, yeah, you want things put in there, but can you afford it? Again, that brings you back to want and need. You basically, so you're saying, but I think that, like I said, I noticed one of the first things right off the bat, they were all cutting their own budgets. I took this fight, but I'm giving you this, and I'm taking this out, but I'm doing this, and they're doing that more, so everybody's kind of working, like you said, into unison.
So let me just, I don't want to beat this to the horse, but I got the response I expected, so this wasn't a surprise. But the reason I brought it up was that I was a little bit concerned that there might be other members of the committee that were having some of the same internal emotional agita that I'm having. And I think that it's good to bring it out and make sure that we're all on the same page. So,
Well, I
I'm
think
okay
it's a
with
good
this.
conversation for the public to hear as well.
Absolutely.
all right. So thank you for indulging me and helping me. We ended up where I expected, but I wanted to make sure we're all aligned. All right. Did you have any, I just spouted, but did you have any comments, or does anyone else have it? Walter, anything that you wanted to say?
No one wants to cut it any more than I do. I tried last year, I even tried right before town meeting, and people seem to be happy with what they're paying for. I mean, and I'm the first one that hollered for more for something, so, and I still will. I was told I was gonna get the opportunity, and I will haul for more for what I supported.
Just so everyone knows, I already told Walter, I said when we get to the last meeting where we reopen sections, he didn't need to bring it up. I'd already put the health agencies on the agenda, because I know we're gonna reopen that for Walter. Did I ask you, do you have any comments, staff?
I haven't, not related to budget comment, we are going, it's gonna be a very brief ceremony on Thursday at 4:15. Because we have a long night ahead of us on Thursday, but we're gonna be unveiling the sign. It's covered outside. The sign is, I'm not sure how many people knew that we dedicated this building to Barbara Greenwood. So we've got the new sign, we've covered it, and we want to do an unveiling, and some of her family's gonna come, so at 4:15 on Thursday. But it'll be brief, because we do have a 4:30 non-public, and then we go straight through. Technically last meeting of the year for them, and we have a lot to get done.
Okay. Before we adjourn, I'll just point out, so next Tuesday is Christmas Eve. The Tuesday after that is New Year's Eve. And when we go, right now, we're scheduled to go back to our normal rhythm, which is the second and the fourth Tuesday of the month. So our next meeting is Tuesday, January 14th. So you'll all get that. I don't think that Shannon and I are gonna be in any huge rush to get minutes out or announcements out with holiday coming and the meeting being another a couple of weeks away, but you will eventually get all that information that you normally get.
And I am at a conference that week.
Oh, perfect. Not perfect, but.
So Christina is out of
We
state.
didn't want you anyway.
Christina is out of state that week. She's on a personal trip, so she won't be here.
So
Can
I've
we
arranged
get,
for Rob Glassett to be here already, because we have two very new department heads that will be coming in to present, and I wanted to make sure they had support. Not that I think you'll tear them apart, but they are. Victor is Highway Department, he's brand new, and Chuck is also brand new in Transfer Station. So we wanted to make sure that they had support. So I'd already arranged for Rob to be here, so I can make him be here for the board member instead, so. The voting member, sorry.
voting
I
members?
will be here Thursday.
Oh.
I'm back Thursday.
We don't have a meeting, I'm out of state from January.
Oh.
I probably shouldn't say that so loud. I'm out of state. Oh wait, how's that? But I will be, so we moved our select board meeting to the 23rd. So select board meets January 2nd and January 23rd. But budget committee starts meeting again on January 14th.
Okay. So we'll finish up with all the departments, and then we'll go into a review, and then we'll go into public session, review the warrant and the revenues, and eventually we'll have a public meeting. There's something else I was gonna say, and I've now forgotten it, so it couldn't have been that important. Does anyone else? I don't think so. So would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn? Would you want me to do that?
Shall I make a motion or adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Sue, seconded by
Okay.
Buzz to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you. Merry Christmas, everyone. Have a good
Merry
holiday.
Christmas, Happy New Year.